Your Colorado Buffaloes are 8-2. It is amazing. Shedeur Sanders turns in a fantastic game again. He goes 30 for 41 for 340 yards for 3 touchdowns, 1 INT against the number one defense in the Big 12. The Colorado Buffaloes beat Utah Utes, the legendary Utah Utes, 49-24. They're 8-2 in the conference. I have a lot of game notes. I'm going to get to them. I have the best game notes in a second. Give you my overall impressions. I understand what people are saying. Well, they beat Utah on their fourth quarterback or whatever. Da 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 da. But let me tell you, the Wilson kid is going to be really good for Utah. His big brother is a top 5 pick, and I was worried about him more than anybody else on Utah's field, even more than their defense. Because if you give him time to settle in, the only reason why I think the game was less competitive than what it is because he was so young. He didn't understand even cover two concepts, how some linebackers will dip and drive and pick up tight ends. When he thinks he has an easy throw, they took it away early on in the game. But as soon as he settled, you could see the genes. He was putting the ball on receivers, and he really made it a closer game than what it should have. The Utah defense is notoriously stingy. They showed up today, even though Colorado put in up 49 points. That did not come until really the second half. Let's just get to it. Travis Hunter, fantastic. And I'm just going to give you this stat is crazy. He gave up his first touchdown as a full-time corner in the 10th game of the season. That is legendary stuff. The man can absolute cover. I think he's a generational corner. And the throw Travis gave up for the touchdown was absolutely perfect. The Wilson kid put it right on his receiver, led him in the perfect spot. The only way that ball would not have been completed if the receiver dropped it. Not too many corners could have made it, and it's really hard to defend a perfect throw, and that's what it was in my eyes. But that goes to Utah. Utah's a legendary in the Pac-12 and now the Big 12. They don't care how good your players are. I felt that they knew they would have a shorter playbook anyway because they had to start the young quarterback. But even then, they said if we got to tone down the playbook, we're not going to tone it down and leave one side of the field and only have to work on the other by not throwing to Travis. They threw to Travis a lot. They threw to all their vaunted corners. They put those tight ends out on the outskirts on the boundary and box those corners out. That's how Xavier McKinney gave up a touchdown, and that's really what kept him in the game. Once Wilson was able to settle down, he was able to hit throws. I mean, if this kid is allowed to develop 2-3 years, he's going to be another first-round pick just like his brother was. But let's get into the game notes, all right? One thing I will say, it was an early game. Like, when I really got up, got to moving, I was like, wait, the game's going to be on at 11. So I want to give much props to the Colorado team because they've had some wild start times. I mean, they've been in a bunch of just primary night games, big game of the week, and putting them later, and then all of a sudden they have an early game, and it to me that's why they started off slower than what they could have because this team they should have had a bigger first half than they had in the second half, in my opinion. But again, Utah has great defense. They may have not had a great year because of the quarterback issues, but I mean they are the standard as far as stingy defenses go. You Google the Utah defensive players in the NFL, you'll be surprised how the numbers go. But they got to 4th and 5, and it was a big strike. Utah, Coach Brown talked about that. They like to play man a lot. They went offsides, but Shedeur took that free play. It was a big strike to Sheppard. 7-3 Colorado. I mean, the knock on Shedeur is that he struggled against great defenses, which are connected to his losses like Nebraska and Kansas State. And here I disagree. Texas Tech had a really, really good defense. He played well enough against Kansas State where they could have won. Cincinnati was a great team. But this team, he finally came out. You look at the completions, and I understand what a scout could say because he was throwing a lot of bubbles. He was throwing a lot of screens, but that is because of the defense that Utah plays. They have to take what they can give him. So I understand his completions look a little inflated, but towards the end of the game, you could see he was opening it up. They wanted to get a lead because they probably were scared because of the first touchdown. The first interception. But he was able to actually show his arm and show why he's going to be the first quarterback taken in the NFL draft in 2025. All right, so the first quarter, they ended up scoring it 2 times. They had 14 points to Utah's 3. Right then and there, I felt like they should have took the game away, but they just hit a lull. They knew they were better than Utah. And I've said it on my channel, the better team doesn't always win, but when the better team feels like the other team can't win, they'll take their foot off the gas. And that's exactly what happened throughout the second quarter. It was just a lull of just punts back and forth. They couldn't get their offense going. Again, that's a credit to their defense, but to me, they took their foot off the gas, knowing that 14-3, they legitimately did not feel Utah could have scored 20-something points. I think that would have been a surprise. They felt the game was over, but Utah kept playing. They kept playing. At the end of the first half, they were able to sneak in a touchdown with Sheppard again. That was his second touchdown of the day with a fade, but they kept playing. They went down and scored another field goal before the half. It was 21-9 before the break came out. Draylon Miller would not be denied. He broke a lot of tackles to put it up 35-16. You think the game is over. Hell no. You got to keep playing. It was a long drive for Utah. They scored. It was 35-24. They hit the 2-point conversion. And again, that was with those big tight ends. They use them on the boundary against your legendary corners who can cover man-to-man, but they can cover receivers, not these 6'4", 6'5" tight ends. But again, you just got to keep playing. And one of the reasons why you got to keep playing is the great Charlie O finally got his first touchdown of his Buff career. That was cool. That was a great moment between him and the rest of the team and Coach Prime. 42-24. And to me, that really broke the game open. The next drive, Shiloh just took out Wilson. Ouch. It was a big fumble. To me, that was the ball game. At that point, they ran, to me, it was the trick play on the 10-yard line. It looked like the Philly special. They looked like they wanted to give Shedeur the ball, but Utah's defense is sound. They had two people on Shedeur like, bro, we know you are trying to catch this football. Travis Hunter makes it up on the fly. He doesn't throw the ball. He actually rushes the ball, gets in the end zone for a great score, and that was the last score of the game, 49-24. The Buffaloes are in firm position to win out and play in the Big 12 championship game. They got a lot of competition. You know, they really got to keep the heat on, whether it's Iowa State, it's Kansas State, Texas Tech is still there, has a great record. Arizona State has a sneaky, really, really good record. So they have to shore things up because next week is Kansas. Kansas did not have the season they want, but when I tell you their quarterback is super, super talented. Jalen is super, super talented. Now can you be 9-2? We'll see how it goes. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below.